There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
Where no one has gone before, welcome to the Captain's Chair, a Star Trek Lower Decks podcast on the Fangirl Zone. I'm Richard Dave, and joining me on this mission into the unknown is...
I'm Chief Engineer Steve, and tonight we'll be discussing Episode 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Steve, I like this one even better than the first one.
I did too.
I knew our loyal feedback guy, Fred, spoke how frenetic it is. It's on purpose.
Yes.
And it is. But they did slow it down a little bit on this one.
Yes.
I think maybe it was more one-liner heavy than it was visual gags heavy.
True. Very true.
I appreciate the visual gags because you have to watch them, and they are funny, especially getting suckled by a giant spider thing with pink goo.
Yeah.
That is funny, but the one-liners on this were even better, and we find that our favorite character, or one of our favorite characters, is climbing the walls here.
Right.
Mariner.
Yeah, she calmed down quite a bit, but not completely, that's for sure.
Yeah, she has a thing with rules and regulations, as we'll come to learn.
Yes. So, shall we get into Episode 2, Dave?
Yeah, sure. Episode 2, Envoys, is a high-profile mission gone awry. Boimler is further plagued with self-doubt when Mariner proves herself to be more naturally talented sci-fi badass than him. Rutherford quits his job in engineering and explores the departments of the USS Cerritos, which is funny. That whole thing was funny.
That was hilarious.
It's pretty clear that Boimler and Mariner are going to be the top two, but Rutherford is funny.
Oh, yeah. Now, our opening this episode, we see a ball of light entering the Cerritos. And this is another throwback to earlier Star Trek.
Yeah.
The ball of light addresses them, and Mariner identifies it as a transdimensional energy creature.
And it's instantly evil, too. And
right, yeah. I'm going to take over your ship.
Or at least wants to be taken that way and completely menacing.
So Mariner does what Mariner does, and she tackles the dang thing.
Yeah, stuff it in a tube.
Yeah, and instead of being stuffed it in a tube, it agrees to give Mariner what she wants, which is one of them new fancy tricorders.
That's what, a blue line on it or something like
that.
Yes. He gives it to her, but it doesn't have a battery. Oh, sure, I asked for a tricorder without the battery in it. Fine. And he's like,
Yeah.
And the battery. I'll get back to this. Is one of my top jokes.
Yeah. And of course, she gets the battery, and it's just a little tiny dot, which happens to go into Captain Freeman.
Yeah. I wasn't sure it bounced off her or got sucked into her.
Right. I thought it went right into her. So
yeah. Uh-oh.
That could come back at a later time.
So something like that happened on Discovery, too.
Yes.
Well, we didn't see it. I mean, if it happened to her, it's going to return and happen to the captain, too. Whatever, this thing will regain its strength.
Right.
What was the name of that character on Discovery that got favorite character?
Oh, yeah. Tilly.
Yes, Tilly. Yeah, she came back when something came out of her.
Right.
Started steering her around, too. Wow, these guys are really detailed. So, as we move on, Boimler and Mariner get assigned to pilot a Klingon general to Talgana 4. These things are so funny, the planet names.
Yes.
Boimler is all happy with himself. He gets himself in his dress uniform, that long, thing that looks, a coat.
Dress.
Okay, it's a coat.
Yeah, it looks more like a dress. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's all happy because this is sure to burnish his path to command,
right,
be a captain someday. Especially something this important. But he finds Mariner in the shuttle and finds out she's coming on the Envoy mission, and he's been demoted to her co-pilot, which just burns him.
Yes. And of course she's eating and got
and there's stuff
mess
all over
the place. And then she plays with the blast shields.
Oh yeah, up down, up down. That's like from The Simpsons.
Yes.
Light switch on, light switch off. Light goes on, light goes off. So General Corinne arrives, and Boimler attempts to greet him formally, but is interrupted by Mariner and launching a physical attack, which is good sight gag as they flail all over each other. But it turns out this is a good-natured breeding with friend because naturally they know each other.
Of course. Boimler's just going, is there anything you don't know?
Yeah, this is part of that ongoing conceit where her secret from Boimler is that her mother's the captain, her father's the admiral. Who has to do admiral stuff? I gotta do admiral stuff, finger on the button, gotta go. So he doesn't strike me as really that important.
Right.
I don't know. This guy is basically a fun machine who likes to drink and hang out and do naughty stuff. And it turns out he's a thief, too.
Yeah. Hey, it's a Klingon. What do you expect?
Yeah, I know. Didn't seem like that. The other Klingon, especially on Next Generation, rather serious. Not this guy.
Oh, no.
So anyway, Boimler pilots the shuttle to the planet, and Mariner and the General drink and sing in the back, and that even burns Boimler even more.
Right.
They land in the Klingon district because the General's hungry, and when they land, the General's passed out, so let's go walk off. And there he is lying. Again, there's goo everywhere. I guess either he puked, or he peed, or he just oozed stuff, but it's all over the place. I think that's going to be one of their favorite go-to stuff is gunk and pee and bodily fluids and stuff like that, especially of the projectile variety. So Boimler and Mariner decide to disembark, and they go for a little walk, and the General steals the shuttle. Shoo! And Boimler freaks out, and due to the planet's ion shield, they can't call back to the Cerritos for a beam up, and they have to track the General and then find out where he's going. And Mariner would have known that, and she knows everything.
Right.
If she had just studied everything, but he didn't, which even frosts or burns Boimler even more. And so as they walk along, we find out the Starfleet uniforms are viewed as suspicious on Talgana 4, and Mariner is concerned with how the Kalons and little Konos are looking at them. Boimler bumps into a Taxor and inadvertently insults him in his own language, but Mariner distracts by throwing his wallet in a different direction. Turns out he's like a kid, teenager, and he's, my dad's gonna kill me. He's an adolescent. He looks pretty menacing, but he was an adolescent. So Boimler and Mariner walk up to a recreational, and Mariner leaves Boimler to find out where the General's gone. Boimler is approached by a woman who seems to be interested in him, and turns out she's reading his mind, and she's cozying up. She's dressed naughtily, almost like she's a sex worker. Right.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I know. Mariner comes back and warns Boimler that this woman's actually a creature that wants to lay eggs in his throat, and she's her face explodes in this weird flower thing, and it's almost like that tiny little dinosaur that was on Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Then his face just went rah. Boimler intercedes and then later on, this is also nonstop craziness. Yes. Boimler intercedes in an Andorian dispute, and only to allow a shapeshifter, a thief, to escape, and a bar brawl ensues, and Mariner stops it by buying the bar 5 rounds of drinks. But the whole thing was hilarious because that was another frenetic display, and it's just pure chaos.
Yes.
And if you just look at it, there's everything going on at once. There's bottles being broken and people being shot and hacked, and as usual, they're either spouting blood or other body fluids, and it's just crazy. I hope Fred did Fred leave some feedback?
Yes, we have some feedback for this one as well.
Okay, I hope he was impressed with that. We'll find out. Anyway, Boimler's just bummed out about this whole thing. He despairs about being a good Starfleet officer, and he decides to quit. I mean, when you see your friend, but still, I don't know, competitor in rank, that he sees Mariner because she knows everything. Instead of using his wits and smarts, she just buys everyone a round of drinks. Problem solved.
Right.
So he's not in a deep state of depression, or Mariner. Boimler, that's a tongue twister, heads out. They run to a Ferengi, and Mariner's willing to trust him, but Boimler refuses and scares him off. And that's funny, too, because this guy, whoever did that Ferengi, was so good.
Yes.
Some little hand things.
Yes.
And
Human.
Yeah, Human. I think apostrophe Y-O-O, Human. To watch the closed captioning, and I'm like, oh, this guy's good. I hope we get to see him again. So they find the missing shuttle. It's parked out at the Federation Embassy, and they drag Corinne out and leave him unconscious on on the doorstep and head back to the Cerritos. Back on the ship, Boimler regales the officer in the bar. This was supposed to be a secret. It's our little secret because they're such close friends they are. But he makes hay with how Mariner misidentified the Ferengi and his confidence being restored as a Starfleet member. Hooray. And Mariner heads back to her bunk. She calls the Ferengi, which happens to be a friend of hers, of course, and thanks for acting the part of the villain. I had a feeling as like we were 2/3 or halfway through that, like, oh, this is just a setup to boost Boimler.
Oh, yeah.
And what do you think of them sleeping in the hallway all the time?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting to say the least.
That is interesting. Did we get any indication of that the common crew would sleep in a...
No, I don't think so.
I don't
think I've ever seen it now.
How can you give everyone a room, though, on a starship?
Right, exactly.
I think that's a good idea, because if you go into Lower Decks, an actual ship, it's just, let's say you're in the Navy, it's just bunks or hammocks. So it's a nice little touch.
Yes, it is. Now we head over to the B storyline, which is Rutherford and Tendi, and we see Rutherford emerging from the ship's Jeffrey tubes, his favorite place.
Yes.
He's excited to move on to his next assignment, but Tendi reminds him they had plans to watch the Trivoli pulsar together. And we kind of learn a little bit about Rutherford here as he turns around and offers to find a new position that doesn't require missing the pulsar.
Yeah.
You go, that's standing up for your fellow crewmate, I guess.
He wants to do the date, but not without sacrificing crawling through a tube.
Right. So he goes up and requests a transfer from Chief Engineer Billups, who grants it with well wishes.
Yeah. They always seem like whoever the commander is like, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Why not?
Fine. Great. Knock yourself out.
Good damn.
He's like, what?
Yeah, I know. You're not going to miss me? Guess not.
So Ransom gives Rutherford a try at command simulation, and that doesn't go too well.
Yeah.
Because first time through, he destroys the ship and actually 105% of the crew.
I know.
How did
I do that?
Yeah.
How did I go over?
And so Ransom gives him another opportunity, mentioning the Janeway
Oh, yeah.
protocol.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make anything any better because this time he ejects all the children off the ship.
I know, kindergarten and then the pre-K.
Yeah.
You just picture it. There goes all the kids. Ouch. That sucks.
Yeah.
First time that ever happened.
So he gives up on that and tries his hand at sickbay. But he doesn't quite have any bedside manner, thanks probably to the Vulcan implant, because he's very...
Cold truth.
Yes.
Probably don't make it. Yeah, the guy's like panicking. You have 18% chance of dying. What?
Yeah.
Oh, just put up 20%. You should calm down.
So, of course, Dr. Tiana kicks his butt out of there as Tendi has to calm the injured person back down.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't seen Tiana's bedside manner yet, but to me, she's kind of a cross between Bones, because she's awful crabby.
Yeah.
And who was the other chief of the med bay on Next Generation? Not...
Gates McFadden's character.
No, not Crusher. It was the other one who came in. And I can't think of her name to save my soul.
Me neither.
But she was a little bit uptight as well.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
So he heads to security where Shax throws him in a holodeck ring with a bunch of Borg. This is not going to end well.
That looked like fun.
Oh, yeah. But Rutherford remembers his implant and activates it and just takes over and takes out all the Borg, and Shax is just ecstatic.
Didn't he rip the arm off one and hit one of the Borg with it?
Yes.
It's so great.
It was. And like I said, Shax is just, nobody's ever done that before.
Yeah, I know.
So he introduces them to the rest of the security team. But of course, Rutherford notices an open Jeffrey's tube and realizes where he wants to be. And once again, when he decides to go back to engineering, all the security go, yay!
I know. The bears. Steve, I want that t-shirt.
Yes.
I want that t-shirt. I want to be one of the bears in security. Golden bears.
So
I hope someone comes up with that.
Oh, yeah.
Bears rock or Bears kick ass.
Rutherford catches up with Tindy and informs her that he has to go back into the tubes. Well, Tindy just doesn't want to be alone, so she grabs her tablet, and while Rutherford's working, she watches the pulsar.
Yeah, it was kind of cute, actually.
Yeah, it was. She goes, "Isn't that beautiful?" And Rutherford's looking at a tiny circuit.
He's looking at the circuit board or whatever. The command array. Yeah, sure is.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think this was a really good episode where we got to see Mariner become almost a Jack-esque kind of mentor to Bulmer.
Yeah. Are they the same rank?
Yeah.
She might have outranked him. We still don't know
at one time,
did.
I'm sure she did, but she keeps getting demoted because she doesn't follow the rules.
We'll have to find that out in the future, I'm sure.
Yes. And then, of course, we've got both Tindy and Rutherford just basically want to be accepted. And so they're kind of got this friendship thing going along where they don't want to let each other down. So yeah, we see some bonds here growing with our lower deckers, which is a good thing to see. I mean, I saw a recap where they kind of broke down all the groups where the bridge crew, they're expected to bond because they're all bridge, they all have that in common, and same with security, everybody has their own little groups that they're all part of, and so this group is kind of having to build their group.
Yeah, I liked it. I guess part of his conceit, Rutherford, will be, since he's part machine, he identifies with all the machines too.
Right, yes.
That's like a running joke with him.
Yeah.
What was that robot? There was a robot in the TV show that was all animated too. Oh, I can't forget it. He's always smoking a cigar and cracking wise. And it took place in kind of in outer space in the future too. Right. And the robot he was looking at a centerfold. He's like, you going, "Oh, you're a naughty girl." And then you look at the centerfold and it turns out to be a schematic.
Yeah.
What was the name of that show, Steve? I don't know why I can't remember it.
Yeah, just blanking on me too.
Oh, well, we'll get it. So, I want to get into some Easter eggs and Boomer talk there?
Absolutely.
Wow, there goes something by my window.
Yeah.
All right, this was the first episode of the entire franchise in which we see the characters wearing different uniforms, which was awesome.
Yes,
All
it
three
was.
division colors. Oh, my goodness. In a single episode, they had in the case of Sam Rutherford as he transfers from engineering gold, command red, which is different, medical blue. Blue is still medical or science. In the regular episodes, engineering is red and command is gold.
Right.
So maybe there'll be a story behind that, or maybe they're just messing with us. I guess. So he goes back to gold for his brief stint in the security team and then back to engineering. And prior to this episode, minor characters such as Leslie and background characters such as Jay had appeared in all three colors, though not in all in the same episode. That was fun.
Yes.
The episode also featured the first appearance of several previous encountered species, but not seen in many years, which includes a Ferengi on the last episode of Enterprise Acquisition. So what is an acquisition? A Lurian, last seen on DS9, What You Have Left Behind, and Aurelio, which is Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. There's the Arcturians from Star Trek The Motion Picture, and a Vendorian, which first and last appeared nearly decades ago in the animated series of The Survivor. You were right. These guys really know their stuff.
Yes. They are definitely Star Trek geeks.
They sure are.
And I love it.
Yeah, it really puts it to a test.
Yes.
You're not going to be part of the in crowd or geek if you don't get these things. So you better find out what they are.
Yes.
Like us. There was another great part was in her sleep. Beckett Mariner says, "Buried alive, marooned for all eternity," which is what Khan said on Khan Noonien Singh when he was left from J-Team Skirt marooned on Regula, and as Kirk had supposedly done to Khan at SETI Alpha 5.
Yes.
This is SETI Alpha 5. She also mutters the moons of Nibia, which is a reference to Khan saying that he would chase Kirk around the moons of Nibia and around the Antares Maelstrom and around Perdition's flames before giving his mission of vengeance against Kirk. That was hilarious. There was a heavy Moby Dick influence in that particular episode.
Oh, yeah.
We also got the Janeway Protocol. It was a maneuver that can be employed by a Starfleet vessel. A little nod to Star Trek then.
Yep.
It uses what typically occurs when a starship encounters a temporal rift, pull the vessel towards it, which he blows.
Yes.
Into a hilarious
the
effect.
children.
Yeah, it ejects children into space. Wow. We get the usual Klingon accessories too. Batleth, blood wine. Didn't somebody have to do a blood wine pee later on? Randon, sudden physical altercation as a greeting, and it's fun to discover planets like the Telgana 4 have neighborhoods like Little Konos. Because of course they would. Little Konos. That's so great.
Yes.
Do you want to save my top 5 jokes for there, or do them now?
Oh, let's do them now.
All right. Number 5, Corin. Let me tell you about my sexual conquest. What, both of them? Oh, she ripped him pretty good on that one.
Yes, she did.
Oh, God. 3, all those kids, they've never been injected into space. And then, of course, we find out that it's kindergarten and pre-school kids. I'm like, oh, I thought that was hilarious.
Yes.
Injecting kids into space. Oh, my goodness. Number 2 was the pooping orb. That's what I called it to start the episode. Because this thing, if it's going to grant a wish, like a genie or something, it grunts its way through doing stuff. And when it doesn't do the battery because it's too painful or whatever, he's like, oh, fine. And then he poops out a battery. Oh, man. I wanted to save this for my closing, but I just couldn't. This is the number 1 joke, I guess, the one-liner from it. There's nothing like the firm, hot pulse of joystick in your hand. And I wanted to close out on that.
Yeah.
But it was so funny. I still can.
Yeah. Yeah. Both of us would then.
Oh, and didn't he give him a sideways look or something? Yeah. When he said that?
No, Rutherford did. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Rutherford. What?
What are you talking about?
Oh, my God. That was so hilarious. You should put that on the back of the Bears T-shirt with looking like the firm high pulse of a joystick in your hand. Wow.
Yep, that's something else.
Yep.
You know what ransom's all about.
Maybe they can make that a separate T-shirt.
Absolutely.
A red shirt with nothing like the firm high pulse of a joystick in your hand. What?
Yeah. All right.
So great.
We also have some feedback from our friend Fred from the Netherlands. So let's see if he's enjoying this any better this time.
Oh, I hope so.
Yep.
Hello, Steve and Dave. This is Fred from the Netherlands with some feedback for Star Trek Lower Decks Season 1, Episode 2. I already liked this episode much better than the first, but that was mainly because I knew what I could expect. So I took the attitude of watching a satirical, comical Star Trek comic with a lot of references to the Star Trek universe, with all kinds of tropes, which are nice memories of the, let's say, normal series. And if you look at it in that way, it becomes quite different. I like the bickering between Boimler and Mariner. Reminded me a little bit of McCoy and Spock, or sometimes even Spock and Kirk. The trope with the three-dimensional energy being that goes through the hull of a spaceship is not new at all, but the way Mariner dealt with it was completely surprising. Could not imagine any Starfleet officer that would do it like that. I found Anton Rutherford's storyline a little lame. Of course, we knew when he would go to other departments within the ship, he would land up in engineering at the end. His command simulation, of course, reminded us a little bit of the Kobayashi Maru. This Mariner is so annoying and teasing. I really wonder if this will stay the whole first season like that. At this moment, I enjoy it. It's nice, especially in contrast to Boimler. But if it goes on like this, it could be tiresome and too much of a trope then. Okay, that was all for now. Greetings, all the best, Fred from the Netherlands.
Well, I tell you what, Fred, I think it is going to go on for a while. But eventually, Boimler's going to find out that Mariner's the daughter of Admiral and the captain, and he's going to have that on her. I wonder if he's going to use that as leverage at first, or just come out and go to 10 forward and start blabbing all about it just to embarrass her. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be an interesting situation to see if that actually plays out, because when they're heading back, Mariner asks Boimler not to say anything. And sure enough, he's 10 forward and just starts blurting it all out.
Yeah, I don't think he can be trusted.
Yeah, no. Boimler's got some growing up to do, that's for sure.
Yeah, when you're a commander, there's certain things you have to keep to yourself.
Yes, absolutely. But we're definitely glad that you found your...
yeah, I think I heard a chuckle. I heard a
show.
chuckle from Fred.
Yes, on the show. So we're definitely glad of that. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see where Boimler and Mariner go to see if it continues to be worthwhile to you. I think it will. I think maybe Boimler will find out who she is and what she's done, and all of a sudden have gain respect for her, instead of feeling like she's competing against him. So
yeah,
let's just hope. And as always, Fred, thanks so much for the feedback. We really appreciate it, and looking forward to your next one. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on each and every episode this season, and looking forward to interacting on social media with all the great fans. How can the fans interact with us, Dave?
They can go to www.fangirlzone.com and click on the contact link, where you'll find several ways to contact versus email or social media. On Twitter, Steve's at Sawyer Steve, and I'm at The Real ID Dave. Look for us there.
Please review and rate us on iTunes and every other platform you find us on. Good ratings and reviews help other fans of the show find us, as there are several Lower Deck podcasts out there. Tell your friends, and we hope you're enjoying our podcast. And don't forget to check out the other great Fangirl Zone podcasts.
The third episode is August 20th and is titled Temporal Effect. So until then, remember, I'll tell you what, Steve, I can't wait
Okay.
to see that one.
Yeah, this one, got me stoked.
Yeah, so irreverent. And now they're going to deal with temporal effects. That should be good.
Yes, it really should. This is Chief Engineer Steve. Or maybe it's just because all the Klingon names sound the same. Like they all have an apostrophe for some reason.
And this is the newly promoted, apparently, I almost said Joystick Dave. Red Shirt Dave. Now, giving away some of my personal secrets about my joystick. Maybe we shouldn't go there.
Yeah.
I just stick with woof woof. One of my honorable mentions is when Mariner comes up with Federation dogs just to get themselves out of trouble. And Boimler looks and goes, Federation dogs? She goes, oh, woof woof. I don't mind being a Federation dog for a day if it gets us out of trouble.